So today I'm sharing about trauma treatment. This is from betterme.health.coaching. This is how toxic emotions, which are untreated, that have become masked, like what we call inner demons, can be dealt with. Rejection. When we easily making negative assumptions about others' thoughts, weary about letting people in, find compromising difficult, a people pleaser. It says meditate for 30 minutes. Affirm positive energy nourishes my body and helps me radiate joy to others. So we say it out loud. Positive energy nourishes my body and helps me radiate joys to other. Joys, yeah. Positive energy nourishes my body and helps me radiate joy to others. Could say a happy, joyful life's being created for me right now. Then we have, so this is the toxic emotion of rejection, which masks the inner demon. So if we want to deal with them directly, obviously we have to be strong enough to recognize that they don't want to disappear. They like to live there in the dark, in the repression. Then we have betrayal. This is when nightmares, panic attacks, trouble recognizing or expressing or managing emotions. We have anxiety and depression and other mental health treatments. We can affirm my contributions are unique and meaningful. We can meditate for 25 minutes. We can affirm every challenge as an opportunity to grow and improve. Then we have abandonment. Fear of being left behind or abandoned, depression and low self-esteem and low feelings of self-worth, inability to form healthy relationships in the teenage and adult years. Meditate for 10 minutes. This is like a daily thing. Affirm all my words, thoughts, and actions are divinely guided and protected. And affirm also the universe will guide me on anything and everything divinely. And then finally, the trauma. So remember, these are the 4 core wounds: betrayal, rejection, injustice, and abandonment that are being looked at here. Each one, when there's a wound, chas v'shalom, God forbid, it would affect the wholeness. It would violate the wholeness. Chas v'shalom, God forbid, it would violate the wholeness. I have a cut on my arm. Something could come in and live in there, cause an infection. In the rejection wound, in the betrayal wound, in the abandonment wound, in the injustice wound. And that is what we're calling here inner demons, or we're calling them, in the body, it would be microbiology, we'd call them bacteria, parasite, virus, right? Or fungus. And they're like toxins, right? Pathogens. And when we don't treat it, there's like a covering, but something's growing in there. And that's when like pus can come out. Okay. So injustice, chronic chest or back pain, feeling fatigued, drained, unpredictable or irrational emotions, disorientation, and short attention span. Meditate 12 minutes and affirm, I deserve to feel safe and comfortable and confident in this body or in this home or in this relationship. We can affirm, I accept myself the way I am. And we can affirm, my body's perfect the way it is. From Emilia in 2015, I am writing this. There is a place I go when life gets too static and civilization seems far from civil. It's a place, they all know me and everything's free, where I can sit in solitude and feel the earth's energy, be at peace with everything around me, where I can hear the voices of animals, a place where I can speak the secret language of the trees. And now I'm going to share a few things like about our energy field. What happens when we heal the wounds that are having things in that, like we would say in that field, like there are weeds growing or pathogens or whatever. So now we're going to talk about I'm going to talk about this in a more physical, biological way to understand. And also like how we're each a whole galaxy. So when people talk about astrology or, what astro really means is star. So astronomy or whatever. So we have the whole galaxy inside of us. And like I mentioned, there's a microcosm. There's bacteria growing in us. In the macrocosm, we look outside, we see that we're growing on the earth. We don't want to be toxic on the earth, right? Think about people are saying we shouldn't hurt the earth. So in the bigger picture, we say each of us have a sun, and it is the I am, right? Sun is shining and everything gravitates around it. Then we have the moon, I feel. It orbits around something, right? Then we have Mercury, I think. It stays close to the I am. Then we have Mars, which is I act. The red planet, right? And it says like, it's like the next one after the Earth. And it's sort of like what the after effect. It's like it represents for a lot of people destruction, because after the earth is like a Mars state, like earth being representing of like life and creativity. Then we have Uranus, I evolve. And this is also like considering where they are in the solar system, whether they have rings and moons. We have Jupiter, I grow. Jupiter is massive, right? Then we have like the size of the storm on Jupiter, which is called the red spot, right? I don't remember how many Earths can fit in that. Then we have Venus, I love. And this is already like getting close to the I am, but stepping out a little. And remember, Earth being life. So we have Neptune, I dream. This is sort of on the outskirts of ourself, our dreams. And Pluto, I empower. Pluto is actually part of a belt called the Kaiser belt or something like that, or something like that. I don't remember right now. But it's kind of outside, and it's part of that. It's not exactly a planet, but it's sort of like part of this this field, and it's one of the closest ones of this belt of sort of asteroids. It's like, they say Pluto's actually the size of like South America. So, or Russia, I think. And these are massive continent, like location. South America's a continent, Russia's not, but like Russia's huge and South America's huge. But for a whole planet to be that, it's saying that it wasn't enough. Then it became a dwarf planet, which is like a mini planet. So we have this part of us, I empower. It is a small part, very far out. So thinking about how far it is from the I am, from the sun, and yet how it's still part of everything. And it's like the closest from all the separate parts. So it's the part of us it's a part of us that is part of a big field outside of it. And so the part that I empower, after that comes where we might have, when we don't feel empowered, we feel broken down by things, yet these are all still part of the orbit, and they have little pieces. So it's like we could be compartmentalized. Power could be separated. Like it's, I empower can be in different relationships, in different factors, in different states of myself. There is a sense of these pieces of it. And then I want to share the vibrations. So this is a table of vibrations, a pendulum from the Library of Alchemy. And so we have 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 3 to 8, 4 to 16, 5 to 32. This is the sound that begins to be heard by the human ear. The starting point. Then you have 6 to 64, 7 to 128, 8 to 256, 9 to 512, 10 to 124, 1024, and then 15 to 32,768. This is where the sound ends to the human ear. Then we have 20 to 104, 1,045,576. That's when electrical waves begin. Then we have 25 to 333,554,432. Then 30 till 107,374,000. 1,073,074,741,824. When do electric waves end? We have 35 to 343. 34,359,738,368. And then I'm going to have to start listing numbers without saying trillion, billion, because after, 1 or 2 more. So we have 40, then 109,951,162,700. Nope, sorry, 1,099,511,627,776. Now we have light waves begin for the human eye. So we have 45 till 351,843,720,888,32. And then 50. This is light waves end for the human eye. 112589990684264. Then 55 to 36028797018963968. Then we have 56 72057594037927936. Then 57 to 1441151880758855872. And then we have X-rays begin at 58 to 288 230 76151 711 744. Then we have then we have 59 and 57640 or 6. It's hard to make out. 0752034 and then 60 1152921504606 61, which is I almost didn't have room for it. 230584300922136936652. And 62 4611 6860 1842 and 63 922 3372 3685 4778 609. And thinking of the foot, before that, there was this Devotage Arts on Instagram, Devotage_arts. She did this reading where it's like if we look at two ways to set things up in an order, we think of the angels. We learn there's 4 archangels that are the basic ones. We have Uriel in front of us, Raphael behind us, Michael to the right, Gabriel to the left. Michael is kindness and water. We have air in the front, Uriel light, and then we have to the left we have Gabriel strength and fire. Then we have Raphael earth and healing behind us, and the sacred center in the middle. And it's like these wings on the side, the left and the right. And then we have another version of it, which is if we look at the organization of it, we have a place where the 2 wings, and then above that we have second, and above that we have a third. This is how to release. So we can kind of set things up. Some people like to use what's called tarot cards. But what you could do is also put things that mean something to you, and without thinking, sort of get into a meditative state and practice these arrangements and see what these parts of yourself are talking to you. Remember I mentioned the whole world is inside of us, and all these vibrations are inside of us. Can you believe that everything I just read about these vibrations are inside of us? And now I'm going to even go into the foot. So the foot has really 8 major joints. So there's the tibia, the foot. Then we have the talus. This is what hooks on, right? It sort of bends in. Then the furthest part of the heel is like the calcaneus, and I may not pronounce this properly. And this is from the Library of Alchemy as well. And then I'm going to stop here after this because we're really going into a lot of detail. But the calcaneus is the heel bone, and in, let's say, yoga or the chakras, they say it is related to what's called, in their language, Muladhara. So what is that for us? That's the base. That's our gonads. That's the place where we're founded from. We're sitting on it, literally. We sit on our what we call your private parts. You're sitting on it. Then you have the sacral. It's like the pelvic inside. That's between the joint of that's like the navicular, sort of that place next, and it's related to the adrenals. And so the root is related to the I am, like the who I am, the base of who I am, and like the sun, everything sort of revolves around it. And if you think about it, one of the most biggest drives of the person is to get it out. I am not this waste. Get it out. I am not this whether it's urine or it's but I am attracted, and this is, as an adult, it's expressed in bodily engagement from the private area from the root. And also it's like what we're sitting on, what holds us up. Then we have the navicular, which is the sacral. In their language, in Sanskrit, with the person who was studying this, they called it Swadhisthana. And the sacral area is about feeling. Remember I mentioned we feel as the moon or whatever. Then we have the cuneiform bone, and this is in the foot, and we would say it's the manipura, the solar plex in their language, which is solar plexus, the pancreas, related to the pancreas. It was about doing. Then we have the metatarsals, right? So from the metatarsals to the tarsals, we have the phalanges coming off. So in the phalanges, there's 3 parts. So we have from this metatarsals to the first phalange, we would call it the heart. This is what they call anahata, the thymus, which is about love. And then we have more distant to us, like, what do they call it? Distal and proximal. The closer the joint, proximal. So the cuneiform bone, the calcaneus bone is proximal to the root. So that's why it goes out, like it's represented when we walk. And then the further out place in anatomy and physiology, we call it distal. So we're going more distal now. So we're going like, you would think it's higher up in yourself. Like we're going now to like what would be represented in the supernal, in the physical. But actually we're both going, it's showing that it goes in two directions. As the foot goes out, we're going to the outer parts of ourself. This is like the higher parts of ourself. So it really flips on its head the idea that higher is more us. Could be lower is more us. Like every time you jump, you have to come back to the earth. You're magnetized. You have gravity. So anahata, which they call heart, the thymus is about love. Then we have the phalanges, right, as mentioned, going into the throat, the thyroid, speaking, what they call vishuddhi. Then we have ajna, the brow, the pituitary. This is really about seeing. We call it often the third eye. And finally, we have sahasrara, which is the crown, the pineal, or the inside of the brain. We call it knowing. And in terms of one last piece of all this, the very fact that the Lubavitch Rebbe of Crown Heights, and he sent out emissaries, it's the current year is 5783. When I wrote this, was now it's 5784. Hastening their emissaries, they go out to spread the idea that, like as a missionary, as a messenger, that there's oneness and the whole world together will be redeemed, that God will be revealed all together, like in the whole body, in the whole foot, in the whole galaxy, in the whole vibrational field. Everything I just shared, God could be revealed in all of it. And there's 5,646 shulchan at the time I wrote this. Probably there's more by now, but it's getting very close to that number. And I'm wondering if for every year, if we reach over the amount of years, we will exceed, it will be the tipping point that, they say it's almost 6,000. It's actually 6,000 is the year that the Geula is. It can't be after that. It's like set up in cycles. So there has to be that oneness that's going to happen. It's like a spiritual birth. So we could hasten the delivery. We could have a kind of premature. Not always is that so bad, right? If it would cause more, suffering to have it later. So let's have it earlier. So God willing, of course, if it's God's will, but with God's help, we'll continue to have people who are willing to, sacrifice the comfort and go out and bring godliness to more parts of the body. And we may exceed our threshold, and what Malcolm Gladwell, as a writer, he calls it, will reach past the tipping point, God willing. And I learned this from Chabad.org, which is a website for all things Chabad, and it's Chabad who send out the emissaries. And regarding the tipping point, we all know that idea that's called the threshold, even in the neurons, the active potential is like when it goes past a certain point, then it's enough electricity to do the thing. But Malcolm Gladwell coined that term in his book, The Tipping Point, for this idea. Anyway, be well. Bye. Good night.